Have you felt that your life is out of tune, that no matter how hard you try, the music of your existence sounds chaotic, full of notes of scarcity and static of anxiety, while around you, you observe other people who seem to live in an effortless symphony, where everything flows, where the right opportunities arrive at the precise moment. We call that symphony luck, and that cacophony bad luck. For centuries, the majority has believed that the conductor of this orchestra is chance, a capricious and uncontrollable fate. You believe that fortune is a random lightning bolt, and that you simply have not been in the right place. This audiobook has reached you to reveal a forbidden truth. Luck is not chance. It is resonance. The universe is a symphony that is already playing. At this very instant, the frequency of abundance, perfect health, and deep connection is vibrating all around you, as real as the air you breathe. The problem has never been the music. The problem is the instrument. You are that instrument. And if your life is out of tune, it is not because the universe is punishing or ignoring you. It is because your instrument, your being, your subconscious mind, has been tuned by habit and inheritance to the opposite frequency. You are vibrating on the note of fear, doubt, and lack. And the universe, which is a law of perfect resonance, can do nothing but return a reality that harmonizes with that off-key note. This audiobook is the tuner's manual. It will not teach you to ask the universe to change the music for you. It will teach you something much more powerful. It will teach you to tune your own instrument. First, we will make the diagnosis. We will explore the physics of fortune, the anatomy of bad luck as dissonance, and the science of synchronicity. Then, in the final part of this book, I will give you the practical workshop to at last calibrate your being, silence the static, and deliberately tune into the frequency of fortune. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Chance. From the moment you were born, you were immersed without your consent in the religion of chance. It is the unwritten dogma of our civilization. Its temples are statistics, its priests are skeptics, and its creed is whispered in every conversation about life, in every news story, in every classroom. It was a stroke of luck. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's what I was dealt. Life is a lottery. In this religion, you are fundamentally powerless. You are a leaf in the wind, a small boat on a chaotic ocean, rudderless and out of control. The universe is a vast casino, and the house, chance, always wins. Your only hope is that by an inexplicable whim, the dice fall in your favor. This belief is the opium of consciousness. It is the most potent narcotic that exists. Why? Because it absolves you of all responsibility. If your life is chaos, it is not your fault. It is bad luck. If others succeed and you fail, it is not because of a difference in consciousness. It is because they were born lucky, and you were not. The belief in chance is the philosophical justification of the victim. It is the perfect excuse to remain in the prison of comfort, to not change, to not take power. It is the tranquilizer you give yourself to accept a life of stagnation. But the forbidden truth, the one this audiobook has come to reveal to you, is that this deity is a false idol. Chance does not exist. Coincidence is an illusion. The universe is not a casino. It is an instrument. The death of chance. The universe as cosmos. The idea of a chaotic universe is a modern invention, born of an incomplete science that only looked at the surface of things. The great ancestral wisdoms, those that were silenced as heresies, those we have begun to rediscover, knew the truth. The ancient Greeks did not call the universe chaos. They called it cosmos. And what does cosmos mean? It means order. It signifies a perfectly ordered, harmonious totality. The Hermetists in ancient Egypt taught that the universe operates under immutable and perfect laws. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. The Vedic sages of India understood the law of karma not as a system of moral punishment, but as the perfect and impersonal law of cause and effect, where every thought and every action is a seed that will, inevitably, bear its fruit. In a universe based on law, there is no room for accident, but we do not need ancient wisdom to prove it. Cutting-edge science, quantum physics, has delivered the death blow to the god of chance. Quantum physics has shown us that the universe is not a collection of separate objects, like billiard balls colliding on a table. It is a unified, indivisible field of energy. Every particle in the cosmos is instantaneously connected to all other particles, a phenomenon called entanglement. You are not in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself at a focal point. And in a system where everything is fundamentally interconnected, a casual event is a physical impossibility. You cannot throw a stone into a pond without every molecule of water in that pond being affected. In the same way, you cannot have a thought or a feeling without that act sending a vibration through the totality of the field. What you call luck is not a lightning bolt from the sky. It is the ripple effect of a stone you yourself threw, which is now returning to you. Most people live life as if they are sitting in a cosmic lottery hall. They hold their ticket, their desire with sweaty hands, praying for the universe from a giant tumbler to pull their number. They spend decades waiting, filled with hope and anxiety, and when their neighbor's number is called, they look at him with envy. How lucky he is, they murmur. The initiate in the frequency of fortune realizes the truth. There is no tumbler. There are no random numbers. You are not holding the ticket. You are the one spinning the tumbler. And luck is simply the act of calling out the number that is already in your hand. Your state of being, your vibrational frequency, is the number you are calling. And the universe, in its obedience, simply echoes your song, pulling from the tumbler the ball that perfectly corresponds to the number you are emitting. This revelation, though liberating, leaves us at a new threshold. If chance is an illusion, what is the law that governs the cosmos? If we are not a leaf in the wind, what is the invisible current that guides our destiny? The answer is the most fundamental, simplest, and most powerful law of existence. It is the law that underlies all metaphysics, all quantum physics, and all human experience. It is the secret mechanism of luck. It is the law of resonance. The law of resonance, popularly known as the law of attraction, is simple. Like attracts like. Vibrations of the same frequency attract each other. This is not a New Age belief. It is a fundamental principle of physics. If you strike a tuning fork tuned to the note A in a room, and in the other corner there is a violin, the A string of that violin will begin to vibrate on its own. Not because you touched it, but because of sympathetic resonance. The string cannot help but respond to the frequency that is its equal. Now expand this truth to a cosmic scale. The universe is an infinite field of energy, an ocean of frequencies. And you, as we have established, are an instrument. Your state of being, the sum total of your thoughts, beliefs, and above all, your habitual emotions, is the note you are playing, the frequency you are emitting, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The universe in its nature is a cosmic tuning fork. It does not judge you, it does not reward or punish you. It simply resonates. If the dominant note you emit is that of lack and fear, a low, contracted frequency, the universe, by law, must cause people, events, and circumstances to vibrate in your experience that resonate with that same frequency. It brings you more reasons to be afraid. If the dominant note you emit is that of trust and gratitude, a high, expansive frequency, the universe, by law, must cause people, events, and circumstances to vibrate in your experience that harmonize with that frequency. It brings you more reasons to be grateful. Bad luck is, simply, the experience of being stuck in a sympathetic resonance with the frequency of lack. Good luck is the experience of entering into a sympathetic resonance with the frequency of abundance. Luck is not something you have. It is something you tune into. The mistake many people make is believing they can cheat the law. They believe they can spend 23 hours a day playing the music of fear, worry, and doubt, and then, for 10 minutes, think positively, visualize with effort, and expect the universe to respond to those 10 minutes. It is like a musician who plays a chaotic off-key symphony for hours, but shouts the word harmony in the middle of it. The orchestra, the universe, does not respond to the word. It responds to the music. Your true frequency, your dominant note, is not your conscious desire. It is your habitual state of being. It is the music you play when you are not paying attention. It is the sum of those subtle habits, those invisible chains that we will explore. Worry is a note. Judgment is a note. Complaint is a note. Anxiety is a note. Unworthiness is a note, and these notes played day after day create the off-key melody of your life. Bad luck is not chance. It is the predictable result of bad music. Imagine two street musicians sitting on opposite corners of a large plaza. The first musician is out of tune. His instrument is worn and his heart is filled with resentment and lack. He plays chaotic, dissonant music, full of notes of anger and self-pity. His music, his vibration says, "The world is unfair. No one values me. Life is a struggle." The people passing through the plaza feel this vibration. Not consciously, but they feel it. They feel uncomfortable. They contract. They quicken their pace to get away from that unpleasant frequency. If someone throws him a coin, they do so out of pity, not joy. At the end of the day, the musician looks at his almost empty case and confirms his belief: the world is unfair. His bad luck has been the perfect harvest of the seed he sowed. The second musician on the other corner may have the same worn instrument. But before playing, he takes a moment to tune himself. He connects with his love for music, and he begins to play a simple but coherent melody, a melody of peace, joy, gratitude for the simple fact of being able to play. His music is an expansive frequency. The people passing feel it. They relax, they smile, they are drawn to that vibration. People stop, listen, and with joy, fill his case with coins. At the end of the day, the musician looks at his full case and confirms his belief: the universe is generous. His good luck has been the perfect echo of his own song. The plaza is the universe. The people are the circumstance. The music is your frequency. Chance had nothing to do with it. Chapter 2. The Anatomy of Bad Luck. This revelation places you in a position of absolute power, but it also confronts you with the most difficult question. If this is true, if I am the musician, why have I been playing a symphony of bad luck? Why is my instrument, if it is divine, tuned to the note of fear, scarcity, and struggle? Would we consciously choose this dissonance? The answer is no. It is not a choice. It is a programming. And to understand it, to finally be able to tune your instrument, we must travel to the deepest past, to the moment your instrument was first tuned by a hand that was not yours, the hand of evolution. We must dismantle the anatomy of bad luck. Bad luck is not an external miasma that clings to you. It is not a dark cloud that follows you. It is not a divine punishment. Bad luck is simply a frequency. It is a state of being. It is the music that your instrument, your consciousness, has been tuned to play by default. Your instrument, your mind-body system, was not originally designed by evolution to be happy, abundant, or to attract fortune. Those are characteristics of a higher operating system, that of awakened consciousness. The base software, the one you share with every creature on this planet, had a single directive, a single function: survive. And the vibrational state of pure survival, the one that kept our ancestors alive in a hostile world for hundreds of thousands of years, is composed of a trio of very dense frequencies: vigilance, anxiety, the need to constantly scan the horizon for threats. The one who relaxed was devoured, scarcity, hoarding, the certainty that resources are limited and that winter, lack, is always around the corner. The one who shared everything without reserve starved, fear, contraction, the impulse to flee or fight anything unknown or different. This frequency of fear was not a mistake. It was, for millennia, the most successful survival program on the planet, and you have inherited it. It is etched into your DNA, into your limbic system, into the oldest part of your brain, the reptilian brain. Bad luck is, in essence, this old, obsolete survival program executing in a modern world that no longer requires it. Imagine your consciousness is an incredibly sophisticated radar system. The survival program, your base software, sets it up for a single purpose: detecting threats. It is the best threat radar in the world, and it works perfectly. It scans the vast field of potentiality, the universe, and finds, with infallible precision, anything that could go wrong. Out of the 1,000 possibilities of your day, It fixes on the one that is a problem. Out of the 100 people you meet, it resonates and focuses on the one who is dangerous or conflictive. Of all the frequencies in the universe, it tunes perfectly into the panic radio of the world news. And then, your reality fills with threats, problems, conflicts, not because the universe is hostile, but because your radar operating under the survival program is doing its job perfectly. It is finding exactly what it was tuned for. Bad luck is your threat radar functioning correctly. It is the self-fulfilling prophecy of an instrument tuned to the frequency of fear. This survival program creates your dominant note. It is the background hum of your being. You can spend 10 minutes in the morning thinking positively, trying to play the flute of abundance. But if the remaining 23 hours and 50 minutes your inner orchestra, your autonomic nervous system, your blood chemistry, your subconscious beliefs, is playing the massive tuba of fear and scarcity, what melody do you think the universe will hear? The universe does not respond to the flute solo of your conscious intention. It responds to the full symphony of your being. And your dominant note, tuned by eons of evolution for survival, has been until now that of fear. This is the biological root of your bad luck. It is the hardware of your instrument. But there is a second layer, a software layer, that is even more cunning. Your subconscious mind, the vast 95% of your being, is not optimized for happiness. It is optimized for predictability. The ego, that identity you have built, infinitely prefers a familiar misery to an unknown happiness. Why? Because familiar misery, your habitual bad luck, is a territory it knows. It knows its rules. It knows its landscapes, the unexpected bill, the failing relationship, the boss who does not value you. It knows how to survive in it. Good luck, true abundance, effortless love, peace, is new territory. It is an unmapped ocean. It is potential chaos. And for the ego, whose main function is to protect you through the known, that chaos is terrifying. And so you have developed a habit of dissonance. You have become addicted, not to the pain but to the familiarity of the frequency of fear. This habit is not only psychological, it is physiological. It is an addiction. When you live in a chronic state of worry and scarcity, your body gets used to functioning with a constant drip of cortisol and adrenaline. Your cells literally develop more receptors for these stress hormones. You have become a low-grade addict to your own survival chemistry. And then what happens when life offers you a moment of calm, of peace, of good luck? Peace, calm, the frequency of fortune, feel strange. They feel boring. Many people, when they finally experience a moment of true peace, feel uncomfortable, anxious. What am I forgetting? Why is everything so quiet? Something bad must be about to happen. Their system, addicted to the storm, does not know how to navigate the calm, and so unconsciously, they look for a way to create a new drama, a new problem, a new worry, just to be able to return to the normal and familiar frequency of struggle. They self-sabotage, not out of weakness, but out of physiological addiction. Bad luck as identity. But the deepest trap, the one that seals the prison door, is that of identity. So over time, by dint of repeating this off-key music, you have stopped having bad luck and have started being the one who has bad luck. It has become your story. It is the song you sing about yourself, in your mind and to others. This always happens to me. I am the one who always struggles. I've never been lucky in love. It's my destiny to be poor. And this story, this sad song, gives you something. It gives you an identity. It gives you an excuse. It gives you the sympathy of others. It gives you a reason not to take the terrifying risk of your own power. Your bad luck has become the central pillar of your personality. And if you let it go, if you suddenly became a lucky person, who would you be? This fear of the unknown, this fear of losing the identity, even if it is an identity of suffering, is the main reason why your instrument resists tuning. Imagine a sailor who has spent his entire life navigating the world's most stormy seas. He is a survival master. He knows how to tie every knot in the freezing rain, how to brace against every monstrous wave, how to read the wind of a hurricane. His entire identity is that of the storm survivor. One day his battered and bruised ship drifts into an unknown bay, and in the morning he wakes up in absolute silence. The sea is a glass mirror. The sky is a perfect blue. The air is warm. He has arrived without seeking it, at the frequency of fortune. Anyone would think he would feel relief, but he feels a dreadful panic. In the calm, he doesn't know who he is. His masterful skills at tying knots in the rain are useless here. His identity as a fighter makes no sense. The silence of peace is more terrifying to him than the roar of the storm. His body, addicted to the adrenaline of danger, feels uncomfortable and anxious in this serenity. And so, that same afternoon, the sailor unfurls his torn sails and, with a familiar relief, steers his ship back toward the dark clouds on the horizon. He returns to bad luck, because in that storm at least he knows who he is. You are that sailor. And your bad luck is that familiar storm that you keep returning to out of habit and identity. Chapter 3. The Science of Synchronicity. Now we must turn our attention to the other side of the coin. If bad luck is the result of dissonance, what exactly is good luck? What is that phenomenon that the untrained mind calls coincidence or chance? The untrained mind, the one living in the prison of chance, calls synchronicity a happy coincidence. It is thinking of an old friend you haven't seen in a decade, and that friend calls you 5 minutes later. It is having a question that torments you, and a book falls off a shelf in a bookstore, opening to the exact page that contains the answer. It is needing a specific contact for a project, and that very person sits next to you on a train. Most people see these events, smile at the coincidence, perhaps post it on social media, and keep walking, ignoring the miracle, blind to the underlying mechanism. But for an awakening consciousness, for the alchemist who is learning to tune his instrument, these events are not coincidences. They are the evidence. They are the proof. They are the signal that the universe is not a collection of random events, but an invisible symphony that is being orchestrated at every instant. Synchronicity is the revelation of the invisible threads that connect everything. It is the score of the cosmic composer, becoming visible for a moment. This principle is not a mystical belief or a magical thought. It is the inevitable consequence of the universe's nature, a universe that, as we have established, is not a collection of objects but a unified field of consciousness. At the quantum level, everything is interconnected. There is no you and the world. There is no you and the other person. Everything is a single network of energy and information. Your consciousness, your frequency, is not a small radio transmitting into the void. You are an instrument within an infinite orchestra. You are a note within the symphony. When you change your frequency, when you stop playing the off-key note of fear and lack, Chapter 2, and deliberately begin to play a new note of trust or gratitude, the entire orchestra must respond. The law of harmony, the law of resonance, demands it. The universe, which is a coherent intelligence, cannot allow a solitary, discordant note for long. It must harmonize with you. It must rearrange the score, moving the other instruments, people, events, information, to create a new chord that matches your new song. Synchronicities, those strokes of luck, are not miracles. They are harmonic adjustments. The right person who appears out of nowhere is the violin section entering to harmonize with your new melody. The right idea that comes to you in the shower is the composer, the supraconsciousness, whispering the next musical phrase to you. The unexpected money that arrives is the entire orchestra supporting the new symphony of abundance you have begun to play. Good luck is not something you attract from outside. It is the harmony you reveal when you stop playing the note of dissonance. Imagine you are born in the middle of a vast symphony orchestra. You are a violinist, but you are born deaf. You cannot hear the magnificent symphony that the orchestra is playing around you, a symphony of grace, abundance, and connection. Not being able to hear, you play your instrument, your being, as you were taught in the Goddard school of the deaf, with fear, with shrillness, with dissonance. You play the only note you know, the note of survival and scarcity. The orchestra, in its desperate attempt to harmonize with you, does the only thing it can. It returns chaotic music that matches your shrillness, and your life is that cacophony. One day you tire of your own noise. You stop playing, you stop fighting, you enter the silence. And in that silence, for the first time, you do not hear, but you feel the vibration of the orchestra. You feel the rhythm of the real symphony on the floor in your chest. Timidly, curiously, you try to play a note that harmonizes with that vibration. You play a note of gratitude, and in that instant, the entire orchestra hears you. a note in key, and the symphony changes. The cellos give you a bass, the flutes answer you, the conductor smiles at you. The events of your life, the music, suddenly become beautiful, fluid, magical. It is not luck, it is tuning. Synchronicity is the sound of the orchestra responding to your finely tuned instrument, the three movements of the symphony. Now that you understand the grammar of the symphony and can differentiate between a confirmation, a guide, and an opportunity, you must become an active participant in the dialogue. It is not enough to observe the score with awe. You must learn to tune your receiver to perceive the music more clearly, to interpret its personal language, and, most importantly, to respond to the call, to stand up and dance. We move from being passive listeners to being active co-creators. The universe's orchestra communicates with you through different musical movements, different types of synchronicities that have distinct functions in your awakening. To become an expert listener, you must learn to recognize its three main forms. 1. The confirmation movement, the harmonic echo. These are often the first and subtlest synchronicities that appear after you have set a new intention or tuned your instrument to a new frequency. They are the harmonic echo of the universe, designed to strengthen your faith muscle during the invisible gestation period, and let you know that your new note has been heard and is in tune. Repeating numbers, you start seeing number sequences, 1111, 222, 444, everywhere. They are not a secret code with a fixed meaning. They are the universe's metronome, keeping the beat, telling you, you're on the right tempo, keep going, maintain the vibration. Personal symbols. The universe begins to speak to you in your own language using the symbols of your own mind. You repeatedly see an animal, a symbol, or a word that has a special meaning for you. It is a personal wink from the composer, a cosmic inside joke between you and the all. Auditory resonance. You think of a question, and the first song you hear contains the answer in its lyrics. Or you walk down the street and overhear two strangers say the exact phrase you needed to hear. These signals are the prelude. They are the orchestra tuning its instruments before the big concert. They are the universe's way of telling you, trust, the magic is underway. 2. The guidance movement, the conductor's melody. These synchronicities are more active. They do not just confirm your alignment, they show you the next note you must play. They are the conductor's melody whispered to you, so you know where the symphony is heading. They are the breadcrumbs on the path. Guidance through others. A friend, out of nowhere, mentions a book that contains the exact information you need. You meet someone at a party who turns out to be the person who can open the door you long for. These are not casual encounters. They are the orchestra's first violins showing you the melody. Guidance through information. You casually encounter an article, video, or podcast that answers the question you had formulated to the universe that same morning. Guidance through impulse, inspired action. Along with your intuition, you feel an inexplicable urge to go to a certain place or take a different route. And by doing so, you encounter the opportunity or the person you needed. 3. The opportunity movement, the crescendo. As your energy becomes more and more coherent, and you follow the melody of the guidance, the symphony reaches a crescendo. Synchronicities stop being simple clues and become portals of opportunity. The unexpected job offer that aligns perfectly with the new career you had been visualizing. The ideal person who appears in your life at the most unexpected moment. The perfect house that appears on the market the same day you decide to start looking. These are not strokes of luck. They are the culmination of the orchestration. They are the doors that open wide because you have followed the music to the right place at the right time. The practice of the tuned musician. The first practice, the cultivation of the state of awe, tuning the receiver. The universe's orchestra is constantly playing, but you can only hear its music if you are in the concert hall, not locked in the noisy, anxious basement of your own mind. Your first practice is not to seek signals. It is to cultivate the state of awe, receptivity. A brain operating in the high-frequency beta-stress state, obsessed with planning and worry, is deaf to the symphony. Its perceptual bandwidth is completely saturated by the threat radar. Your practice is to take awe breaks throughout the day. The pause ritual. Several times a day you stop for just 1 minute, put down your phone, and simply observe the world around you with the eyes of a child, with the curiosity of an explorer who has just landed on a new planet. The search for the anomaly. In that pause, actively seek something that breaks the pattern, the strange shape of a cloud, the unexpected color of a flower, the laughter of a stranger. You train yourself to notice. This simple act is a neurological reset. It pulls you out of beta survival mode and into the alpha mode of creation and receptivity. By cultivating awe, you are opening your perception to the invisible orchestration that has always been there. You are telling the universe, I am listening. The second practice, the symphony journal, the score record. To strengthen your confidence in this communication and learn to read the score of your life, you become the chronicler of your own symphony. Your practice is to keep a synchronicity journal. You take your journal, and every night you write down the significant coincidences of the day. The notation. Today I was thinking about needing more creativity in my life, and a truck drove by me with the word create painted on the side. The context. Just before seeing it, I was feeling frustration about my job. The personal interpretation. Next to each note, you ask yourself, what does this mean to me? What is the feeling or the knowing that this signal awakens within me? You trust the first answer that emerges from your intuition. The acknowledgement. You end each note with a word of gratitude. Thank you for this signal. This journal over time becomes irrefutable proof that you are not alone, that you do not live in a random universe. It becomes the record of your personal conversation with the cosmos. The third practice, dancing with the melody, the confident action. Hearing the symphony is the first step. Having the courage to stand up and dance with it is the second and most crucial. Every guiding synchronicity is an invitation to the dance, a note the universe offers you for you to respond with a movement. Manifestation rarely happens as a single large event. It often unfolds as a cascade of synchronicities that require your conscious participation. Imagine a creator, Elena, who has set the intention to launch a new project that will serve the world. She has done her inner work and tuned her instrument. The first note, confirmation. One day she sees a synchronicity, the name of a city she doesn't know. Serene light, appears 3 times in different contexts. The first movement, trust. Instead of dismissing it, she trusts. She takes a small, inspired action. She searches for that city online. The second note, guidance. She discovers that a conference on social innovation, a topic that resonates with her project, will be held in that city in 2 months. The second movement. Her logical mind, tuned to the bad luck of the past, protests, "It's expensive, I don't know anyone, it's a waste of time." But her intuition, the tuned violin, gives her an expansive yes. She buys the ticket. The third note, opportunity. At the conference, during a coffee break, a conversation near her catches her attention. She hears a keyword related to her project. The third movement. With cultivated courage, she introduces herself. It turns out that person is the key piece she was missing, the investor or partner she was looking for. The symphony has reached its crescendo, not through a great effort, but through a series of small obedient dance steps, each guided by a note from the universal orchestra. Chapter 4. The tuning fork of being, the power of intention. Most people confuse intention with desire, and this is the first mistake that keeps their instrument out of tune. Desire, as commonly experienced, is born from the frequency of lack. It is the vibration of bad luck. Chapter 2. It is the note of not having. It is the beggar's prayer asking. It is born from the perception of a lack. Intention, in the physics of fortune, is something completely different. It is not an act of asking. It is an act of choosing. Desire says, "Universe, please give me the note A." Intention says, "I choose the note A." Desire waits. Intention decrees. The power of intention does not reside in the force with which you desire, but in the coherence of the frequency you have chosen. In Chapter 3, we saw that the universe is an ocean of potentiality, a symphony of all possible notes playing at once. The future is a quantum soup of infinite possibilities, health and sickness, wealth and poverty. The observer effect of quantum physics teaches us that this soup of potentiality collapses into a tangible reality the moment it is observed. Your intention is the act of disciplined observation. It is the act of withdrawing your attention from the infinite chaotic notes of fear, the threat radar, and focusing it with absolute singularity on a single note, on a single potential future. When you set a clear intention, you are not desiring, you are choosing a future. You are observing one of the infinite realities of the quantum field until, by the law of the physics of consciousness, that reality collapses and becomes your experience. Your intention is the tuning fork. It is the pure note that resonates in the field of all possibilities. And the universe, by the law of resonance, must begin to organize the symphony of synchronicity around it, the anatomy of a failed intention, the dissonant note. But why do so many of our intentions fail? Why does the tuning fork seem not to sound? Because, like the off-key musician, most people do not emit a pure note. They emit chaotic noise. A failed intention has two characteristics. It is vague and it is contradictory. Vague intention, the diffuse sound. A vague intention is, I want to be happy. Or I want more money. This is not a tuning fork. It is a dull sound. It does not give the universe a clear frequency with which to resonate. What is happy? What is more? The universe, faced with this ambiguous signal, can only return more ambiguity. Bad luck is often the result of a diffuse intention. Contradictory intention, the frequency of the counterfeit. This is the most common dissonance. It occurs when your conscious intention, the 5% of your mind, says one thing, and your subconscious programming, the 95%, says the opposite. Conscious intention, I choose abundance, playing the note A. Subconscious program, fear, but money is dangerous and rich people are evil, playing the note B flat at the same time. The result is dissonance, a jarring, painful note. The universe, receiving this frequency of counterfeit, this signal of inner war, cannot create the symphony. And in its confusion, it simply returns the echo of your dominant vibration. Conflict. Your stuck life is the manifestation of your contradictory intentions. The universe is a field of resonance, an orchestra awaiting your keynote. Desire, as experienced by the untrained mind, is an act of lack. It is the frequency of bad luck, the vibration of not having. When you desire money, your dominant note is usually one of the fear of scarcity. When you desire love, your dominant note is usually one of the pain of loneliness. When you desire health, your dominant note is usually one of resistance to illness. Your desire is not a signal of your future. It is an echo of your past. It is a prayer of absence. It is telling the universe with a potent emotion, I don't have this. I am not this. And the universe, which is a perfect mirror, answers you with absolute fidelity. As you say, you don't have it. You are not it. Intention, the one born of an awakened consciousness, is of a completely opposite nature. Intention is not born from lack. It is born from choice. It is not an act of wanting. It is an act of knowing. It is not the deaf musician begging the orchestra to play his song. It is the master musician who, with a sovereign calm, strikes his tuning fork and emits the note first, knowing that the orchestra, by the law of harmony, must tune itself to him. Desire is a plea. Intention is a decree. How is a pure intention forged? A tuning fork that is not contaminated by the dissonance of fear and lack. It is not forged in the logical mind. The logical mind, the ego, is the guardian of bad luck. It is the storm sailor, chapter 2, who only knows survival. Its job is to analyze the past and predict failure. A pure intention, a true tuning fork, can only be forged in the only place that is not contaminated by time, the heart. Or more precisely, in the stillness of the supraconsciousness. A true intention is not something you invent, it is something you receive. It is a whisper from the ocean, chapter 6, a download of wisdom that shows you your true potential. It is the divine habit, chapter 7, calling you. The desire of the ego feels like anxiety, a need, a contraction. The intention of the soul feels like calm. Certainty, expansion. Your job is not to think about what you want. Your job is to silence the mind's noise enough to hear the intention that the universe has already planted in you. Once you have heard the intention, you must learn to use it. The tuning fork is not the object you desire. It is the feeling that that object would give you. The universe does not trade in things. It does not understand the concept of a new car or $1 million. Those are forms of the physical world. The universe trades in the substance those forms are made of, frequency. The tuning fork you must forge is not the image of the car. It is the frequency of freedom. The tuning fork is not the image of the money. It is the frequency of security or peace. When you tune your intention, you must distill it down to its emotional essence. Why is this so crucial? It eliminates resistance. Your logical mind, the prison guardian, may resist the idea of $1 million because, based on past memory, it seems impossible. This resistance creates a contradictory intention. But your logical mind cannot resist the idea of peace. Peace is a pure frequency, a state of being you can choose now. It frees the universe. When you ask for freedom, the universe is no longer limited to delivering it to you in the form of that specific car. It now has infinite ways to orchestrate luck, synchronicity, to bring you that frequency. A new job, an unexpected trip, the cancellation of a debt. The most powerful intention is the simplest. It is the choice of a state of being. Finally, a tuning fork can only emit one note at a time. You cannot tune an orchestra with chaotic noise. This is where most people fail. They scatter their power. In the morning, they manifest abundance. At noon, they worry about health. In the afternoon, they feel lonely. At night, they feel guilty. They are striking 10 different tuning forks at the same time. The result is static, dissonance. An awakening consciousness understands the power of singularity. It chooses one master intention, one keynote for its life in this moment. Perhaps it is peace, perhaps it is trust. Perhaps it is radiant health, and it dedicates all its energy to tuning every aspect of its being to that single note. When you become the embodiment of that single frequency, the universe has no choice but to respond. The symphony must be built around the note you play with such clarity and coherence. The tuner's practical protocol. The first practice, the distillation journal, forging. The tuning fork. Take your journal, your alchemist's tool. Choose a desire you long for, and begin the distillation process, asking yourself the question, what for? Aristotle's why. Desire, form. I want a new, bigger house. Question, what for? Answer 1, to have more space. Question, what for? Answer 2, so my children can play, to feel less overwhelmed, to be able to host my friends. Question, what for? Answer 3, the essence, to feel peace, connection, and generosity. Your tuning fork is not house. Your tuning fork is peace, connection, and generosity. The second practice, the frequency calibration, the strike of the tuning fork. Once you have your note, the essence, you must learn to play it. Enter the silence, withdraw to your space of calm as you learned in the observer's ritual. Close your eyes, strike the tuning fork. Instead of visualizing the house, the form, invoke the feeling, the essence. How does peace feel in your body? How does connection feel? Generate that emotion now. Feel the expansion in your chest. Feel the calm in your belly. Feel the gratitude for that peace you are already experiencing in this instant. Hold the note. Sustain that feeling for 60 seconds. Let it become your soul reality. The third practice, singularity, one symphony at a time. Now make the master's decision. Choose one of your distilled essences as your master intention for the next week or the next 30 days. This month, my only intention is to embody the frequency of sovereign peace. For 30 days, every morning you strike that tuning fork. Every time you face a decision, you ask yourself, does this choice resonate with sovereign peace? By focusing all your power on a single frequency, you become a coherent magnet. You stop being random noise and become music. You have completed the philosophy of the cure. You have moved from diagnosis to intention. You have stopped being the deaf musician striking random notes and have become the master tuner, ready to play the first note of your new symphony. Chapter 5. The mystical Sabbath, the gestation period. After planting our seed in the workshop of silence, this addiction to effort becomes our worst enemy. The anxious gardener kneels beside the earth and begins to worry. Did I do it right? Is it growing? Maybe I should dig a little to check. Should I plant another seed just in case? This impulse to check, this nervousness, this need to do something more is the antithesis of faith. It is the poison that aborts creation. The fifth revelation, the one that transforms the conscious creator from the frustrated dreamer, is this. Once the seed has been planted and fertilized, your job as gardener is over. The act of creation now passes from your hands, the conscious mind, to the hands of the giant, the subconscious mind. Your job was to choose and plant. The womb's job is to gestate and build. You must, with absolute trust, honor this division of labor. This rest is not an act of laziness. It is an act of intelligent power. It is the recognition that two different minds are involved in creation. Imagine an architect who has spent months designing the master blueprint of a cathedral. It is a perfect blueprint, your divine seed. He has impregnated it with his passion and vision, the sacred fertilization. Finally, he hands this blueprint to the master builder, the faithful womb. What would the architect do if he were wise? He would withdraw from the construction site. He would trust that the builder, who knows the physics of materials and the art of engineering, will execute the blueprint perfectly. What would happen if the architect were a fool, if he were full of anxiety? He would run to the construction site the next day, shout at the workers, move the foundations, insist they use wood instead of stone. What would he create? Chaos? A weak, contradictory structure. Your conscious mind is the architect. Your subconscious mind is the builder. The mystical Sabbath is the act of wisdom of the architect who, having delivered his perfect blueprint, withdraws from the construction site and allows the builder to do his work. Your insistence on helping, on worrying, on figuring out how is the foolish architect sabotaging his own work? The human embryo does not gestate under a bright light, but in the silence, darkness, and total protection of the womb. The seed of an oak does not germinate on the surface, but under the earth, in the invisible stillness. A galaxy is not born in an explosion of light, but in the vast dark nebula of cosmic dust. The darkness is not an absence. It is the laboratory of life. It is the space where formless potential organizes itself, protected from the interference of the external world. Your subconscious mind is this sacred darkness. When you plant your seed, it disappears from your sight. It enters the invisible womb, and there the giant begins its miraculous work. It begins to weave the threads of synchronicity, to move the minds of people, to organize the coincidences, to set the stage for the birth of your new reality. This process is incredibly delicate, and it requires something that our instant culture has forgotten. Time. The time lag between your act of planting and the moment of harvest is not a system error. It is a necessary part of the system. It is the gestation period. An oak does not grow overnight. A child is not born in an hour. The universe does not operate under the tyranny of your impatience. It operates under the immutable laws of gestation. The mystical Sabbath is your willingness to honor the darkness. It is your faith in the invisible process. It is the art of knowing that, even though your physical eyes see nothing, in the womb of creation everything is moving. The world of the senses, the world of the echo, shouts its old song at you. Your physical eyes see the same bank account. Your physical body feels the same symptom. Your ears hear the same loneliness. This is the moment of the great test. It is the test of loyalty. What will you give your power to? The invisible truth you have felt inside, or the visible illusion your senses present to you? Most people at this point confuse faith with hope. Hope is the language of the subject. It is born of doubt. It is a plea cast into the future, admitting the possibility of failure. I hope this works. It is a vibration of lack. It is the anxious gardener looking at the sky, begging for rain. Faith in the science of metaphysics is not an emotion. It is a state of being. It is not hope. It is certainty. It is the absolute calm of the gardener who, having planted the seed, no longer worries about the weather, because he knows the law of germination is infallible. Faith is not believing it will happen. It is knowing that it has already happened on the plane of cause, in the womb of creation. The mystical Sabbath, therefore, is not a passive wait. It is not the act of sitting in a chair with arms crossed, waiting with resignation for something to happen. The Sabbath is the most active discipline of all. It is the work of maintaining your state of being. It is the labor of remaining loyal to the invisible reality. Your conscious mind, your gardener, has already planted the seed. His job of planting is over. Now begins his job of protecting. His only task during the gestation period is to patrol the garden and ensure that no plague, doubt, no storm, panic, and no drought, forgetfulness kill the seed germinating in the darkness. This is the true meaning of faith. Faith is the emotional discipline of refusing to be hypnotized by the evidence of the senses. Imagine a master sculptor standing before a formless block of marble. The apprentices who live in the world of the senses only see a rock. They lament, "This is just stone." It is impossible for a work of art to come out of this, but the master sculptor smiles, because he with his inner eye does not see the rock. He sees the perfect statue that already exists within the marble. His faith is not hope that the statue will appear. It is the knowledge that it is already there. His work with the chisel is not an act of creation of the statue. It is an act of liberation. With every blow he is not adding anything. He is, with absolute discipline and certainty, removing the excess marble. He is eliminating everything that is not the statue, to reveal the perfection that he already knows is true. You are that sculptor. Your wish fulfilled is the perfect statue that already exists on the invisible plane. Your current reality, illness, scarcity, is the excess marble that hides it. Your job in the mystical Sabbath is not to create your desire. It is, with the discipline of your faith, to remove every thought and feeling that does not correspond to it. Every time doubt appears, it is a piece of marble. And you, with the chisel of your certainty, remove it. Every time worry arises, it is a piece of marble. And you, with calm, remove it. You are not waiting for the statue to appear. You are revealing it with every act of sustained faith. The world you see with your physical eyes is not the truth. It is the history. It is the reflection of the seeds you planted before. It is the echo of your former consciousness of lack. Your new creation, your divine seed, is still in the darkness of the womb. On the invisible plane, gestating, true faith. The antidote to the poison is loyalty to the invisible reality over the tyranny of the visible reality. It is the art of looking at the bill, the echo, and, instead of feeling the old panic, replanting the seed of fear, feeling peace, knowing that it is only a shadow fading away, and that the new harvest of abundance is already on its way. It is the act of feeling the pain in the body, the echo, and, instead of identifying with it, responding with calmness. I see you, shadow, but my truth is the perfect health that my giant is building now. Imagine a sovereign king who wishes to build a grand bridge in a distant province of his kingdom. He calls his architect, his imagination, and forges a perfect blueprint, the divine seed. Then he calls his master builder, the subconscious, and delivers the blueprint sealed with the feeling of his will, fertilization. He has given the order. Now what does the king do? Does he run to the distant province the next day, and seeing no bridge, shout at his workers and cancel the order? No. That would be a weak, neurotic king, and his kingdom would be chaos. A true sovereign, a true creator enters his Sabbath. He retires to his palace, knowing that his decree is law. He does not think about the bridge again, not because he does not care, but because he trusts absolutely in the power of his builder and the authority of his own word. He rests. But his rest is not inactive. It is a rest of certainty. He begins to plan the inauguration festival. He talks with his counselors about the commerce that will flow across the new bridge. He inhabits the reality that the bridge is already a fait accompli on the plane of law, and that its manifestation in matter is only a formality of time. You are that sovereign. And your senses are the nervous messengers who run to your court shouting, "My lord, I went to the province and there is no bridge." Your job during the mystical Sabbath is to look at that messenger, your thought of doubt, with a royal calm and tell him, "My decree has been given. The bridge is being built. Do not bring me news to the contrary again." Chapter 6. The Resonance of the Heart. Gratitude as an Amplifier. In the search for good luck, many people make a fundamental mistake. They believe that to manifest they must desire harder. They try to amplify their intention with the chaotic energy of longing, nervous excitement or iron will, but this is like turning up the volume on a broken speaker. You don't get music. You get louder static. The universe, as we have seen, does not respond to the intensity of your desire. It responds to the coherence of your frequency. Desperate, longing is the frequency of not having. Nervous excitement is the frequency of fear of losing it. Forced will is the frequency of struggle. All of them are incoherent, dissonant vibrations. They are the music of bad luck. Gratitude, on the other hand, is the frequency of perfect coherence. It is the vibrational signature of reception. It is the music of fullness. Think about it. When do you feel gratitude? You feel it after you have received the gift. Gratitude is, by definition, the frequency of manifestation already completed. When you choose to feel gratitude before the gift is visible, you are not pretending. You are performing the most powerful act of quantum alchemy that exists. You are tuning your instrument to the exact frequency of the reality you wish to receive. You are singing the song of the final result. And the universe, which is a perfect mirror, upon hearing the song of the harvest received, has no choice but to orchestrate the symphony of synchronicity to deliver that harvest to you. This principle is not mere mystical poetry. It is a measurable fact of human biophysics. For decades, we have believed that the brain was the command center. But cutting-edge science has discovered that the true sovereign of our energy field is the heart. The HeartMath Institute has shown that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that is up to 5,000 times more magnetically powerful than the field generated by the brain. This field, shaped like a torus, like a donut, extends several meters around you. It is your true vibrational signature, your true song that you are emitting to the cosmos. And the quality of this song, the one that determines whether it is good luck or bad luck, depends on the coherence of your heart rhythm. When you experience bad luck emotions, fear, anger, frustration, impatience, your heart rhythm becomes incoherent. The pattern is irregular, chaotic, like a radio full of static. Your signal to the universe is noise. When you experience fortune emotions, appreciation, calm, compassion, love, and especially gratitude, your heart rhythm enters a state of coherence. The pattern becomes a smooth, harmonious, sinusoidal wave. In this state of heart coherence, two miracles occur. Internal synchronization. Your heart and brain synchronize. Your nervous system shifts from fight or flight mode, survival, to rest and creation mode, expansion. Your entire biology aligns, pure transmission. The electromagnetic signal you emit to the quantum field becomes a laser. It is a clear, powerful, and coherent signal. Gratitude is not a simple feeling. It is the act of turning on the amplifier and cleaning the signal at the same time. It is the supreme tuning tool. Imagine that your intention, your tuning, fork is the light of a lighthouse in the middle of a night of dense fog, the chaos of the world. Most people try to manifest using only the power of their mind, the brain. It is like having a small, weak light bulb. Its light is correct, but the fog, the collective vibration of fear, consumes it a few meters away. The ship of their desire cannot see it. Gratitude is the act of connecting that same light bulb to the lighthouse's main generator, the heart. Suddenly, the same light is amplified 1,000 times. A coherent, powerful beam cuts through kilometers of fog, piercing the darkness with absolute clarity. The ship, Synchronicity, opportunity, sees the unequivocal signal and sails directly toward it. Your mental intention chooses the destination, but it is the resonant power of your grateful heart that illuminates the way and magnetically attracts the manifestation. How is the feeling of the wish fulfilled, assumed? How do you feel something that your 5 senses tell you is not yet real? The mind, hearing this, tries to pretend. The sleeping sovereign, the ego, tries to take a shortcut. He tries to force a smile while his heart is filled with fear. He represses his anxiety and acts as if. But this is an act of the ego, and the subconscious giant, the master builder, cannot be fooled. We must differentiate with absolute clarity between pretending and assumption. Pretending is an act of the conscious mind that is born from the awareness of lack. It generates tension and dissonance. The giant perceives the dissonance between the mask and the real underlying feeling, fear, and it obeys the feeling, ignoring the mask. Assumption is the act of remembering who you are on a deeper level and choosing to inhabit that truth. Despite the shadows projected in the world of effects, assumption is an act of sovereign consciousness. It is the inner calm. It is not a performance for the world. It is a declaration of identity to your own being. Imagine a wise king who, to understand his people, decides to disguise himself as a beggar. He is ignored and despised, but inside the king nothing has changed. He does not pretend to be a king. He knows he is the king. His identity is unshakable. He walks among the beggars, but he does not feel like a beggar. He feels the calm, the authority, and the security of his sovereignty hidden beneath the rags. His inner state, king, and his outer reality, beggar, are in total contradiction. Which one do you think the universe responds to in the long term? To his state of being, your job is not to convince the universe of your desire. It is to assume the identity of the person who already possesses it, with the same silent certainty of the king under his beggar's disguise. And to do this, the sovereign uses the most powerful tool in his court, imagination. The sovereign's workshop, practices for assumption. Your imagination is a portal. It allows you to deliberately abandon the reality of your five senses, which is only an echo of the past, and enter the reality of your wish fulfilled with the sole purpose of feeling it, of capturing its emotional signature and bringing it back to the present. The sovereign does not use his imagination to see his desire. He uses it to feel it. The image is the key. The feeling is the treasure. The subconscious giant ignores fleeting emotions, waves, and obeys habitual states, climate. The sovereign does not seek sparks of happiness. He seeks to cultivate an inner climate of peace, certainty, and gratitude. Faith is not blind hope. It is emotional discipline. Faith is the art of remaining loyal to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even when the mirror of the external world shouts to you that it is a lie. Sustaining that feeling, despite the contrary evidence, is the act of faith that seals the imprint. It is the pressure constant of the seal on the wax, and the giant, perceiving this unshakable conviction, has no choice but to dissolve the old kingdom and build the new. How is this assumption practiced? Through the ritual of deep imprinting, the scientific prayer. With the sole and true purpose of generating the feeling, define the implied scene. Choose a short scene that takes place after your desire has been fulfilled, e.g., a friend saying, "I've never seen you look so well." Enter the workshop. Withdraw to your stillness. Prepare for sleep, the theta portal. Use the scene to evoke the feeling. Live that scene in the first person. Concentrate on the feeling the scene would generate in you. The wave of relief, deep gratitude, serene joy, or peace. Release the scene and inhabit the feeling. Once you have captured that feeling, let go of the scene. You bathe in the treasure. You inhabit that feeling. You become it. Fall asleep in the feeling. You fall asleep not thinking about your desire, but being the person who feels immense gratitude for the wish fulfilled. This is the subconscious lullaby. Chapter 7. The Hidden Score, the Ritual and the Symbol. We arrive at the most crucial phase of alchemy, the moment that separates the amateur from the master, the moment that determines whether your creation will manifest as solid gold or dissolve like a dream upon waking. We must talk about the art of gestation. We must enter the mystical Sabbath. The untrained mind, the one that has been programmed by the myth of external control, is addicted to effort. We have been conditioned to believe that doing is the cause of success, that if we are not struggling, forcing, planning, and manipulating, we are not creating. After planting our seed in the workshop of silence, this addiction to effort becomes our worst enemy. The anxious gardener kneels beside the earth and begins to worry. Did I do it right? Is it growing? Maybe I should dig a little to check. Should I plant another seed just in case? This impulse to check, this nervousness, this need to do something more, is the antithesis of faith. It is the poison that aborts creation. The fifth revelation, the one that transforms the conscious creator from the frustrated dreamer, is this. Once the seed has been planted and fertilized, your job as gardener is over. The act of creation now passes from your hands, the conscious mind, to the hands of the giant, the subconscious mind. Your job was to choose and plant. The womb's job is to gestate and build. You must with absolute trust honor this division of labor. This rest is not an act of laziness. It is an act of intelligent power. It is the recognition that two different minds are involved in creation. Imagine an architect who has spent months designing the master blueprint of a cathedral. It is a perfect blueprint, your divine seed. He has impregnated it with his passion and vision, the sacred fertilization. Finally, he hands this blueprint to the master builder, the faithful womb. What would the architect do if he were wise? He would withdraw from the construction site. He would trust that the builder, who knows the physics of materials and the art of engineering, will execute the blueprint perfectly. What would happen if the architect were a fool, if he were full of anxiety? He would run to the construction site the next day, shout at the workers, move the foundations, insist they use wood instead of stone. What would he create? Chaos, a weak, contradictory structure. Your conscious mind is the architect. Your subconscious mind is the builder. The mystical Sabbath is the active wisdom of the architect who, having delivered his perfect blueprint, withdraws from the construction site and allows the builder to do his work. Your insistence on helping us, on worrying, on figuring out the house is the foolish architect sabotaging his own work. All sacred creation happens in the darkness. The human embryo does not gestate under a bright light, but in the silence, darkness, and total protection of the womb. The seed of an oak does not germinate on the surface, but under the earth, in the invisible stillness. A galaxy is not born in an explosion of light, but in the vast dark nebula of cosmic dust. The darkness is not an absence. It is the laboratory of life. It is the space where formless potential organizes itself, protected from the interference of the external world. Your subconscious mind is this sacred darkness. When you plant your seed, it disappears from your sight. It enters the invisible womb. And there the giant begins its miraculous work. It begins to weave the threads of synchronicity, to move the minds of people, to organize the coincidences, to set the stage for the birth of your new reality. This process is incredibly delicate. And it requires something that our instant culture has forgotten. Time. The time lag between your act of planting and the moment of harvest is not a system error. It is a necessary part of the system. It is the gestation period. An oak does not grow overnight. A child is not born in an hour. The universe does not operate under the tyranny of your impatience. It operates under the immutable laws of gestation. The mystical Sabbath is your willingness to honor the darkness. It is your faith in the invisible process. It is the art of knowing that, even though your physical eyes see nothing, in the womb of creation, everything is moving. How is an external object, a simple anchor in the physical world, integrated into this invisible process? How is an object consecrated? How is a simple stone converted into a vibrational battery? You do it through an imprinting ritual. When you perform a ritual, like the ones we will explore in the next chapters, you are taking your pure intention, the tuning fork, the note A. You are amplifying it with the coherent gratitude of your heart, the resonance box. And at the peak of that coherence, in that moment of silent ecstasy, you are imprinting that frequency onto a physical object. It is an act of neurological and energetic anchoring. You are creating an indelible association in your subconscious. This stone, the frequency of my abundance. This symbol, the frequency of my security. The object literally becomes a vibrational battery. It becomes your pocket score. What is this battery for? Why is it so crucial in tuning fortune? Because the human being is an instrument that goes out of tune with astonishing ease. You perform your morning ritual, which we will learn. You tune yourself perfectly. You strike the tuning fork of intention, amplify the note with the gratitude of your heart. You feel yourself on the frequency of fortune, in a state of peace and certainty, and then you leave your house, and the world, which continues to operate on the old frequency of chaos, bad luck, begins its assault. A driver cuts you off in traffic. Noise of anger. You open your phone and see an email full of panic from your boss. Noise of anxiety. You see a news story about an economic crisis. Noise of scarcity. And your instrument, by the simple habit of sympathetic resonance, begins to go out of tune. The coherence of your heart is broken. You start vibrating with the chaos around you. The pure frequency of fortune you had cultivated in the morning is lost in the static of survival. You have returned to playing the music of bad luck. This is where your hidden score comes into play. You feel the anxiety invade you. You realize you have lost the note. You reach into your pocket and touch the stone you consecrated, and in that instant the magic occurs. Your nervous system, through the sensory anchor of touch, remembers. The neurological anchor is activated. Your body recalls how the frequency of peace, abundance, and security that you assigned to that stone feels. The symbol becomes your passive tuning fork. It is the score that, with a single glance or a simple touch, reminds you of the melody. It helps you to retune yourself, to return to your chosen frequency, not in an hour of meditation, but in a single conscious second, in the midst of the storm. Imagine your mind is a lighthouse in the middle of a stormy ocean. Your intention, the tuning fork, is the decision to turn on the light. Your gratitude, the amplifier, is the power of that light. But the storm, the external world, is relentless. The waves of fear and the wind of distraction hit the lighthouse, and the light, your consciousness, flickers. The lighthouse keeper, your conscious mind, your 5%, is tired. He has been vigilant all night, striving to keep the light on, fighting the storm. But he tires, gets distracted, becomes discouraged. The symbol, the ritual, the hidden score, is the lighthouse's automatic mechanism. It is the gear that, once set in motion, keeps turning, keeps emitting the light at rhythmic intervals, even when the lighthouse keeper is tired or distracted. The ritual is the act of building and setting that mechanism in motion. The symbol is the gear that reminds you of your function. The ancient sages understood this. They did not use rituals because they were weak. They used them because they understood the weakness of the conscious mind. They understood that the human mind needs anchors, needs reminders, needs supporting mechanisms. Luck is not a state reached once. It is a frequency that must be actively maintained. And rituals and symbols are the most advanced technology for the maintenance of that frequency. The hidden score has been revealed to you. You have understood that luck is a coherent frequency. And to maintain that coherence in a world of chaos, you need tools. Chapter 8. The Daily Tuning Ritual. Your vibrational state, as we have seen, is an instrument. The problem is that for most people, this instrument tunes itself by default, reacting to the chaos of the world. You wake up, and the first act of your day defines the note for the entire journey. For most, that first act is an act of dissonance. They pick up the phone and in less than 10 seconds, anxiety, work emails, and comparison, social media, flood their system, or they get up in a hurry. And the frequency of stress and lack of time becomes their dominant note. You have begun the day tuning your instrument, not to the frequency of fortune, but to the jarring note of bad luck, the frequency of fear and lack. And then, you spend the rest of the day struggling, rowing against the current of the off-key music that you yourself have chosen to play, wondering why life is so difficult. The daily tuning ritual is an act of sovereignty. It is the act of choosing your note first. It is the art of tuning your instrument to the frequency of fortune before the chaotic orchestra of the external world has a chance to detune you. It is the act of defining your day instead of letting your day define you. This ritual is not just another task on your list. It is the only task that matters, because it establishes the frequency from which all other tasks will be performed. The ritual. The 5 phases of morning tuning. This ritual should ideally be performed in the first 15 to 30 minutes of your day, before the phone, before the coffee, before the external world enters your inner sanctuary. Phase 1. The creation of silence, the tuner's workshop. The first step of the ritual is to prepare the workshop. You cannot tune a violin in the middle of a storm. You must create a space of silence. Choose your space. Designate a place in your home that is your tuning workshop, a chair, a cushion, a corner by a window. Over time, this space will become energetically charged with your intention. Calm the instrument. Sit down. Close your eyes. And for the first 3 to 5 minutes, do nothing. Just listen. Listen to the silence of the morning. Feel your breath. You are allowing the static of dreams and sleep to settle. You are moving from the unconsciousness of sleep to the consciousness of wakefulness, without going through the noise of autopilot. Breathe coherence. Perform the heart breathing you learned at the philosophical level. Inhale to a count of 5, exhale to a count of 5. Imagine breathing through your chest, not your nose. You are creating coherence, preparing your antenna to emit a clear signal. Phase 2. The strike of the tuning fork, pure intention. Now that the workshop is silent, it is time to choose your note. As you learned in Chapter 4, you must choose a singular essential intention. This is the key note of your day. Choose your note. Do not choose 10 things. Choose one. One frequency you want to embody that day. Is it peace, clarity, trust, abundance? Pronounce the note. In the silence of your mind or in a whisper, declare your tuning fork. Today my note is peace. Today my intention is to be the embodiment of abundance. Feel the tuning fork. Take a moment to feel that note. How does peace feel in your body? How does abundance feel? Generate the pure vibration, the feeling of your intention, before any image. You have struck the tuning fork. The pure note is vibrating in your being. Phase 3, the resonance of the heart, the great amplifier. You have your pure note, intention, but it is a whisper. Now you must connect it to the most powerful amplifier in the universe, your grateful heart. In the philosophy of tuning, gratitude is the resonance box of your instrument. It is the wooden body of the violin, the grand frame of the piano. It is what takes the vibration of the string, your intention, and expands it, giving it a depth, warmth, and magnetic power that the string alone could never have. As we have seen, gratitude is the frequency of fullness. It is the vibration of fortune already received. When you join your intention, the note you have chosen, with gratitude, the amplifier, you perform the most potent alchemy. Sustain your intention. Keep the frequency you chose in Phase 2 in your mind, e.g., peace. Turn on the amplifier. Now, without letting go of that intention, begin to deliberately generate the feeling of gratitude, not for the future you ask for, but for the present you already have. The audit of fullness. Actively look for 3 things, however small, for which you are genuinely grateful in this precise moment. I'm grateful for the silence of this room. I am grateful for the air filling my lungs. I'm grateful for the simple fact of being alive and conscious, with the opportunity to tune my day. Feel the fusion. By generating this feeling of gratitude, you will feel how the note of your intention, peace, and the resonance of gratitude, fullness, begin to merge. They become a single, unified, and powerful frequency. I am at peace and deeply grateful for the peace that I am. Phase 4. Reading the score. Directional visualization. This is the step that most people do incorrectly. They try to visualize from a state of lack, from bad luck, hoping the image will create the feeling. But that is like a deaf musician trying to play a difficult score. The result is dissonance. The master alchemist, on the other hand, first becomes the music, Phase 3, gratitude, and then from that state of coherence, simply reads the score visualization. Your visualization is not to ask for something. It is to direct the energy you have already generated. Maintain the frequency, holding that feeling of gratitude, peace and fullness in your heart now and only now. You introduce the image, build the scene. Bring to your mind that simple, short scene that implies your intention is already a fact. It is not an hour-long movie. It is a 10-second memory of the future. If your intention is abundance, do not visualize a mountain of money that can generate resistance. Visualize a scene that is the consequence of abundance. For example, you see yourself paying a bill, not with anxiety, but with a smile of calm and gratitude, feeling the joy of circulation. If your intention is radiant health, visualize yourself doing an activity you love that your old condition prevented, running on the beach, laughing with energy, feeling the flow of vitality in your body. Live it. Don't watch it. As you learned in the philosophy of imagination, do not watch a movie. Live it in the first person. Feel the pen in your hand as you sign the check with gratitude. Feel the wind on your face as you run. Make it so sensorially real that your brain cannot distinguish if it is a memory or an imagination. The seal of joy. Sustain this scene for a few minutes. Feel the joy it produces. Joy is the signal that your subconscious has accepted the blueprint. You are merging your intention, the blueprint, with your gratitude, the power, creating an irrefutable electromagnetic signature. You have completed the tuning. You have chosen your note, intention, amplified it, gratitude, and given it a form, visualization. Phase 5. The sacred anchor, the physical symbol. The ritual is almost complete, but the human mind is forgetful. The frequency of fortune you have cultivated in your silent workshop is delicate. The moment you go out into the world, the noise of the old frequency, bad luck of the prison of comfort, will try to detune you. You need an anchor. You need your pocket score, a physical object that you can charge with the vibration of this ritual, a reminder that will bring you back to tune in the midst of chaos. Choose your talisman. Take a simple object. A small stone you found, a quartz, a pyrite, or simply a pebble from the road, a ring you wear, a small coin, a bay leaf, as in tradition. It doesn't matter the object. Your intention toward it matters. Charge the anchor, the consecration. At the end of your meditation, while you're at the peak of your gratitude and joy frequency, with the scene of your wish fulfilled still vibrating in you, take the object in your hands. Hold it against your heart. Transfer the frequency. Close your eyes and for 1 minute just pour all that sensation of peace, abundance, and certainty into the object. Impregnate it with your intention. Feel the stone or the ring warming with your energy. You are creating a neurological anchor, the anchoring decree. Whisper your intention to the object. You are my anchor of fortune. You are the frequency of my peace and my abundance. Every time I touch you, I will remember who I am and the frequency I have chosen. Now carry that object with you. In your pocket, in your wallet, on your desk. You are in traffic. You feel the old note of impatience and anger, dissonance beginning to play. Or you open your email and see a message that generates panic. Instead of succumbing to it, instead of allowing the world to detune you, you execute your emergency protocol. Detect the dissonance pause. Reach into your pocket and touch your stone. Breathe once, deeply through your heart. The anchor activates. The simple touch reminds your nervous system of the sensation of peace you cultivated in the morning. You have used your hidden score to return to the symphony. You have retuned yourself in less than 3 seconds. The daily tuning ritual has been revealed to you. You have silenced the instrument. You have chosen your note, intention. You have turned on the amplifier, gratitude. You have read the score, visualization. You have created your anchor, the symbol. You no longer start the day as a victim of chance. You start the day as the master of the orchestra, tuning your instrument and choosing the music. And the universe, which can only resonate with the song you emit, has no choice but to join you in a symphony of good luck, synchronicity, and fortune. Chapter 9. The Art of Improvisation, Inspired Action. The untrained mind, the one that has been programmed by the myth of external control, is addicted to effort. We have been conditioned to believe that doing is the cause of success. That if we are not struggling, forcing, planning, and manipulating, we are not creating. After planting our seed in the workshop of silence, this addiction to effort becomes our worst enemy. The anxious gardener kneels beside the earth and begins to worry. Did I do it right? Is it growing? Maybe I should dig a little to check. Should I plant another seed just in case? This impulse to check, this nervousness, this need to do something more, is the antithesis of faith. It is the poison that aborts creation, the fifth revelation, the one that transforms the conscious creator from the frustrated dreamer. Is this, once the seed has been planted and fertilized, your job as gardener is over. The act of creation now passes from your hands, the conscious mind, to the hands of the giant, the subconscious mind. Your job was to choose and plant. The womb's job is to gestate and build. You must, with absolute trust, honor this division of labor. This rest is not an act of laziness. It is an act of intelligent power. It is the recognition that 2 different minds are involved in creation. Imagine an architect who has spent months designing the master blueprint of a cathedral. It is a perfect blueprint, your divine seed. He has impregnated it with his passion and vision, the sacred fertilization. Finally, he hands this blueprint to the master builder, the faithful womb. What would the architect do if he were wise? He would withdraw from the construction site. He would trust that the builder, who knows the physics of materials and the art of engineering, will execute the blueprint perfectly. What would happen if the architect were a fool? If he were full of anxiety? He would run to the construction site the next day, shout at the workers, move the foundations, insist they use wood instead of stone. what would he create? Chaos, a weak, contradictory structure. Your conscious mind is the architect. Your subconscious mind is the builder. The mystical Sabbath is the active wisdom of the architect who, having delivered his perfect blueprint, withdraws from the construction site and allows the builder to do his work. Your insistence on helping, on worrying, on figuring out how is the foolish architect sabotaging his own work? All sacred creation happens in the darkness. The human embryo does not gestate under a bright light, but in the silence, darkness, and total protection of the womb. The seed of an oak does not germinate on the surface, but under the earth, in the invisible stillness. A galaxy is not born in an explosion of light, but in the vast dark nebula of cosmic dust. The darkness is not an absence, it is the laboratory of life. It is the space where formless potential organizes itself, protected from the interference of the external world. Your subconscious mind is this sacred darkness. When you plant your seed, it disappears from your sight. It enters the invisible womb. And there the giant begins its miraculous work. It begins to weave the threads of synchronicity, to move the minds of people, to organize the coincidences, to set the stage for the birth of your new reality. This process is incredibly delicate, and it requires something that our instant culture has forgotten: time. The time lag between your act of planting and the moment of harvest is not a system error. It is a necessary part of the system. It is the gestation period. An oak does not grow overnight. A child is not born in an hour. The universe does not operate under the tyranny of your impatience. It operates under the immutable laws of gestation. The womb of your reality is contracting to expel your old identity and give birth to the new. You have understood that chaos is not a failure, but a function. But knowing that a contraction is normal does not make it less painful. When you are in the middle of chaos, when the unexpected bill arrives, when the loneliness feels sharper than ever, your nervous system panics. Your logical mind, the sleeping gardener who still lives within you, shouts, "This is a disaster. Abort the mission." How do you navigate this chaos? How do you maintain faith when the world is falling apart? You do not do it by gritting your teeth and enduring. That is resistance. You do not do it by pretending it does not hurt. That is denial. You do it as a wise midwife would. You become the midwife of your own soul. You enter the practical workshop and apply the protocol of birth. The midwife does not stop the contractions. She knows they are necessary. She does not fight them. She works with them. Her job is to maintain calm confidence and focus on the final result. The Soul Midwife's Workshop. The Contractions Protocol. The first practice. The art of relabeling, renaming the pain. The midwife's first and most powerful tool is her language. Her calm and her words can transform the mother's experience from panic to power. Your first practice is to relabel the event in your own mind. The sleeping gardener looks at the unexpected bill and calls it a disaster. This label emits a vibration of panic and lack. It closes the channel. The soul midwife, your awakened consciousness, looks at the same bill and calls it a contraction. Try this now. Feel the difference in your body. Disaster is an end. It is a sentence. It generates fear and paralysis. Contraction is a process. It is a movement. It generates expectation and purpose. The moment the negative event occurs, your practice is to insert a conscious pause, as you learned in the alchemist's workshop, and, with a sovereign calm, relabel it in your mind. This fight is not the end of my relationship. It is a contraction that is purging the old dishonesty. This job loss is not my ruin. It is a contraction that is pushing me out of the old womb so I can be born into my true purpose. This wave of fear is not proof that I am a failure. It is a contraction of my old self dissolving. This simple act of renaming is an act of alchemy. It deactivates the poison of panic and returns your power as the observer. You stop being the victim of the event and become the master of the process. The second practice, the midwife's breath, anchoring the calm. Once you have relabeled the contraction, the physical sensation, the panic, the anxiety will still be there. The midwife does not tell the mother to not feel pain. She tells her, do not fight it. Breathe through it. Your second practice is to anchor your calm in the midst of the chaos. Feel the contraction. Do not repress the fear or anxiety. Do not feign positivity. Allow the sensation of panic to arise in your body. Honor the intensity of the process. Breathe into the pain. Now, instead of contracting against the feeling, you do the opposite. You take a slow, deep breath, and you imagine that you are sending that breath of calm into the knot in your stomach, into the tightness in your chest. Soften the body. With each exhale, you deliberately relax your body. You relax your shoulders. You relax your jaw. You relax your hands. This act is a decree of power. You are sending your subconscious giant the most potent signal that exists. Even in the midst of the most intense contraction, I am safe. Even in the midst of chaos, I choose peace. You are consciously refusing to emit the frequency of fear, and by doing so, you refuse to feed the old reality. You are stopping the watering of the tares. The third practice, the anchor in the result, the double consciousness. You have relabeled the event and breathed through the sensation. Now you perform the final act of mastery, the one that carries you through the storm. The midwife knows that the pain of the contraction is not the final truth. The final truth is the baby about to be born. Your practice is one of double consciousness. It is the art of keeping 10% of your attention on the contraction, acknowledging the chaos of the present moment, but anchoring 90% of your attention in the reality of your wish fulfilled, the baby. The anchoring protocol. Acknowledge the echo. You observe the bill, the fight, the symptom. I see you, contraction. I know you are here to help me give birth. I honor you. Pivot to the feeling. And immediately afterward, you close your eyes, physically or mentally, for just 10 seconds, and you go back to singing your subconscious lullaby. You return to the sensation of your ritual of the workshop of the night. You return to the feeling of relief, of peace, of gratitude for your desire already manifested. Anchor in the final result. You are not hoping it arrives. You are taking refuge in the truth that it already is. You are in the middle of the storm, but your anchor is firmly secured to the seabed of the absolute reality of your creation. This practice is the supreme act of faith. It is the gardener who, while seeing a hailstorm on the horizon, the contraction, instead of running to unearth the seed, sits quietly in his workshop and polishes the tools he will use for the harvest, knowing that the storm will pass and that the seed is safe in the darkness of the earth. Chapter 10. The continuous melody, living in the frequency. The daily tuning ritual is like filling a bucket with the pure water of fortune, with the vibration of fullness. But the bucket of your consciousness has holes. These holes are your old habits of dissonance, the bad luck frequency you have practiced your whole life. You leave your morning ritual feeling on the frequency of abundance, at peace, coherent. But then, you listen to the news and its symphony of fear and scarcity. A hole opens. You enter a conversation of complaint with a colleague. Another hole opens. You fall into an old loop of self-criticism. A third hole opens. You react with anger in traffic. A fourth hole opens. By midday, your bucket of pure frequency is empty. Your instrument is as out of tune as ever, and you wonder why the morning ritual did not work. The ritual did not fail. The maintenance failed. Luck, the frequency of fortune, is not a state you reach once in the morning. It is a frequency you maintain throughout the day, and to maintain it, you must become a guardian of your own vibration. You must adopt what the wise have called a mental diet, or vibrational hygiene. The mental diet is not positive thinking. Positive thinking is the attempt to shout a nice note over your own static. It is exhausting and false, and as we saw, it creates a frequency of counterfeit. The mental diet is the act of stopping the consumption of static and is the art of recognizing that you are an incredibly sensitive instrument and that everything you allow to enter your consciousness is tuning you, for better or for worse. You must become a guardian of the gates of your perception and learn to identify the garbage noise, the frequencies that detune you. Internal noise, the habit of fear. This is the static you generate yourself. It is the echo of your old bad luck programming. Chapter 2. The storm sailor looking for chaos. Complaint. Every time you complain, verbally or in your mind, you are actively practicing the frequency of bad luck. You are playing the victim's note. It is a prayer for more of what you do not want. Worry. Worry, as we saw, is the act of using your imagination, the tool of fortune, to deliberately tune into the frequency of disaster. It is tuning your instrument to the note of fear. Judgment. Every time you judge yourself or others, you emit a vibration of separation, which is the antithesis of harmony, synchronicity. It is a dissonant note. External noise, emotional contagion. You are a vibrational being in an ocean of vibrations, and energy is contagious. You are not immune to the collective field, the consumption of fear. 24-hour news, social media full of indignation, horror movies are not harmless entertainment. They are a deliberate immersion in the frequency of survival, anxiety, and fear. You are voluntarily detuning your own instrument. Social resonance. Bad luck is a collective habit. If you surround yourself with people who live in complaint, scarcity and cynicism, their dominant frequency, by the law of resonance, will begin to drag yours down. The allegory of the master musician. Maintenance. Imagine a concert violinist who must perform the most complex symphony of his life that night. He spends the morning tuning his instrument, your tuning ritual. He practices the difficult passages, but then what does he do? Does he spend the rest of the afternoon at a heavy metal concert at full volume or listening to an off-key symphony? No, of course not. The master musician protects his hearing. He protects his instrument. He withdraws into silence. He listens to music that inspires him. He keeps his instrument in a state of perfect tuning. He knows that the concert does not begin at night. The concert is the sum of everything he did during the day. Your new life as a lucky being rests on 3 pillars of daily practice: the veto of dissonance, instant retuning, and the seal of the night. The first practice. The veto of dissonance, the mental diet. The first practice is not an act of doing, but an act of stopping. Doing, it is the art of exercising your sovereignty and vetoing the garbage noise that you have been consuming out of habit. A musician who is going to play a concert does not spend the afternoon listening to an off-key radio because he knows it will corrupt his hearing. You must treat your consciousness with the same reverence. The information diet. This is an act of conscious will. You must stop consuming the music of fear. 24-hour news, internet portals that feed on indignation, social media that traffics in comparison and envy are not harmless information. They are frequencies. They are the sound of bad luck broadcast to 1 billion people. By consuming them, you are voluntarily detuning your own instrument. It is not about living in ignorance. It is about choosing wisdom over noise. It is about refusing to tune into the dissonance so you can maintain your own note clear. The conversation diet. This is the most difficult veto. Bad luck, complaint, criticism, blame is a collective habit. It is the way many people relate. It is the glue of the survival vibration. When you stop participating in this music, your old vibrational relationships will feel uncomfortable. Your practice is not to evangelize others. You are not a missionary. You are a musician. Your only task is to hold your own note. When a group conversation falls into complaint, you remain silent. You do not join the dissonance, and if asked, instead of lying or joining in, you simply play your own note. I choose to focus on the solution, or it's a challenge, but I trust something good will come of this. At first, this will feel strange. You will be the silent tuning fork in a noisy room, but you are doing something powerful. You are refusing to let the off-key orchestra drag you into its pit. The second practice. The art of instant retuning, the anchor. You have vetoed the external noise. But what about the internal noise? What happens when the habit of fear, Chapter 2, the echo of your old programming arises from within? You feel the pang of anxiety. You feel the contraction of doubt. This is where the master musician uses his pocket tuning fork. In the daily tuning ritual, Chapter 8, we consecrated an anchor, your talisman, your stone, your symbol. That is your hidden score, Chapter 7. Now we use it. Detect the dissonance. The moment you feel the contractive emotion, fear, anger, doubt, you have noticed. You have heard that you played a wrong note. This is the moment of power. Stop the melody. Insert a conscious pause. Take a single breath. With this act, you have stopped the bad luck song before it gains momentum. Touch the anchor, retuning. This is the physical act. Reach into your pocket and touch your talisman. The anchor you charged in the morning with the frequency of gratitude and peace. Recall the frequency. The touch of the object is a neurological command. It reminds your nervous system of the feeling of peace you cultivated in the morning. You don't have to try to feel good. You simply recall the note. Breathe and feel the calm of the stone. Resume the symphony. You have returned to the key. You have retuned your instrument in less than 5 seconds. This is not a struggle against fear. It is an elegant act of retuning. It is the violinist who, noticing an off-key string in the middle of the concert, subtly adjusts it and keeps playing. The third practice, the seal of the night, closing the circle. How you end your day determines the tuning with which you wake up. You cannot spend your day practicing fortune and then go to sleep on the frequency of fear, consuming violent news or reviewing your failures. Sleep is the most potent gestation period. The night ritual is the act of cleaning and putting away your instrument, the harmony audit. Before sleeping, instead of reviewing your worries for tomorrow, you perform a fortune audit. You take your journal and write down every stroke of luck of the day, however small. Did I find a parking spot right up front? Synchronicity. Did my friend call me right when I was thinking of them? Resonance. Did the project flow effortlessly? Inspired action. You are deliberately reinforcing the lucky musician identity. You are teaching your brain to seek and register the evidence of fortune. The gratitude bath. As we learned in Chapter 6, gratitude is the amplifier. You close your audit by feeling a deep appreciation for the symphony of your day, for your ability to play and listen. The seal of silence. You surrender your instrument to the silence of the night, trusting that the universe will continue the work while you sleep. The master tuning has been revealed to you. You have silenced the instrument. You have chosen your note. Intention. You have turned on the amplifier. Gratitude. You have read the score. Visualization. You have created your anchor, the symbol. You no longer start the day as a victim of chance. You start the day as the master of the orchestra, tuning your instrument and choosing the music. And the universe, which can only resonate with the song you emit, has no choice but to join you in a symphony of good luck, synchronicity, and fortune. Our journey began in dissonance, in the frustration of an instrument out of tune. We started from the illusion of chance, Chapter 1, believing ourselves victims of a chaotic universe, unaware that our own anatomy of bad luck was the frequency of fear generating that static. And then we awakened to the science of synchronicity, the revelation that the universe is not chaos, but an orchestra that responds. We began the work of tuning. We forged the tuning fork of being, the power of a pure intention. We understood the importance of the resonance of the heart, the magnetic amplifier of gratitude, and we learned to use the hidden score of ritual and symbol to anchor our new frequency. Finally, we entered the practical workshop. We mastered the daily tuning ritual to start each day on the right note. We learned the art of improvisation, the courage to dance with inspired action. And we sealed our mastery with the continuous melody, the discipline of vibrational hygiene. You have completed the manual. You have learned to silence the static of fear and tune your instrument to the music of fortune. You have gone from being an off-key musician to being a conscious musician, capable of playing the melody of your choice. But here, in the silence that follows the final note, lies the ultimate revelation. The destiny of this journey was not for you to become the musician who plays the symphony. The destiny was for you to remember that you are the symphony. A musician still exists in duality. He fears the wrong note. He strives for perfection. He is still separate from the instrument and the music. But when you embody this knowledge, when your frequency of fortune becomes your habitual state of being, the duality dissolves. You no longer try to attract luck. You radiate the frequency of fortune. You no longer seek synchronicity. You become the center from which the orchestration flows. Luck ceases to be an event that happens to you and becomes the air you breathe. Your life ceases to be an anxious performance and becomes an effortless dance. Your state of being, tuned to gratitude and certainty, is the new dominant note. Your presence is the tuning fork that silently tunes the world around you. Bad luck can no longer find you because there is nothing in you that resonates with it. You have stopped being the instrument. You are the music. Your learning journey is over. Your life as the symphony begins now. Your question every morning is no longer, How do I tune myself today? But what magnificent melody do I choose to be today? If this manual has tuned your being and awakened the music of your soul, we invite you to share this symphony. Subscribe to our channel, Path of Knowledge, for more wisdom that raises your frequency. Like this video if you commit to living in your true frequency. Share this knowledge with someone who needs to tune their own instrument. Thank you for your time, for your courage to face your own chains, and for the brave decision to reclaim your music. The universe was waiting to hear your note.